Hello, good evening. Welcome to Small Home Comforts. It's Thursday night in the book corner. My name is Beth, and I am here tonight to talk about Jane Austen. We'll do a little bookish this or that, and we'll start off by the age-old question, Wickham versus Willoughby, who was more despicable? So I'm looking so forward to having this discussion tonight. I think we're going to have so much fun. Talking about Jane Austen. Her birthday is coming up here pretty soon, just a couple weeks, I think. And yeah, I thought it would be fun to talk about Jane Austen. So if you are here, I would love to say hello to you. Just let me know in the comments. I need to come over to Instagram here and go live. Instagram has its own thing, so I have to get all the technology going. But if you're here, come say hello. Welcome. Megan is here. Hello, Megan. Nice to see you. Rebecca is here. Hello, Rebecca. Oh, and your daughter is here. You're watching together tonight. Lovely. Do you have all the opinions on Jane Austen? I can't wait to hear. I've got some questions lined up. Not questions, just more like discussion topics. Um, the um, the biggest one I used to see this all over the place, and it never gets old is who was more despicable, Wickham or Willoughby? So get your opinions going. Let me know in the comments. As usual, we're going to start with what tea we're drinking tonight. So I'm doing a whole Jane Austen thing tonight. So I have my Jane Austen scarf on. Can you see? This is such a soft scarf, but right there with all the quotes. I have my Jane Austen mug with my tea in it. And the tea that I brewed, I was like, I must have a Jane Austen tea somewhere. And sure enough, my husband bought me this Pride and Peppermint. It has rooibos tea, peppermint, and chamomile, and it's from Novelties. It's the tin. So isn't that fun? So all the Jane Austen things tonight. I'm not gonna take a sip. It's still too hot, so I'm gonna let it cool off. But hello, Susan. Welcome. Nice to see you. And Karen is here. Hello. Megan says she has raspberry herbal tea tonight. There's some herbal tea. This is a caffeine-free tea tonight for me too. So, sounds lovely. Susan says that she is drinking a Santa Blend by Plum Deluxe. That sounds delightful. Perfectly seasonal. Plum Deluxe has such good teas. I really like that brand. So they are so lovely. So many things to choose from as well. So, um, all right, I was just checking over there to see if there's any more comments, but all right, let's get started, shall we? So I picked out some of the books. You can see I have some empty spaces here. I'm going to start pulling from there, but I found some references to Christmas with the help of the internet. But I thought we could talk about I could read you some references to Christmas out of Jane Austen's books while you guys are giving me all your opinions as to the topics that I was going to bring up tonight. So let's just start right at the beginning and talk about Wickham versus Willoughby, who was more despicable. And you can just give me the answer and say, this is who I think is more despicable, or you could go into more detail and tell me why. And I am all ears. I want to hear the opinions. I remember long time ago, it was on Facebook. Somebody wrote this in the comments, and the discussion that came of it was so fun. It was so good. All the different things, and everybody had such a strong reaction to it. If you get my email, I send out a weekly newsletter email on my email list, and I mentioned it in my email that we were going to talk about this tonight. And I was even getting texts from people saying, of course, it's, this one or whatever. So strong reactions to which is which. So tell me in the comments what you think. Hello, Teresa. I see your comment here. Welcome. Glad to have you here tonight. You tell me who you think is more despicable, and then I am going to tell you which one I think is more despicable. So I think it honestly could go either way, but I'll give you my thoughts and my opinions. But in the meantime, while those opinions are coming in, I thought maybe we could read some references to Christmas in some of Jane Austen's books. So not every book has a Christmas scene. I there is one Christmas scene in Persuasion that's one of my favorite Christmas scenes and one of my favorite scenes in any Jane Austen book, which I will read to you a little bit later, that is actually a Christmas. But here's a reference to Christmas in Sense and Sensibility, and this is in chapter 9, and it refers to Willoughby. And so I thought I'll read that right now while we're talking about Wickham versus Willoughby. So they were talking about, let's see, let me set the stage here with it's Mrs. Dashwood and Mary Ann and Sir John Middleton talking about Mr. Willoughby. And Mary Ann is trying to get some more information about him, I think, from Sir John. And uh, they're talking about this is Sir John talking, and he says, he is as good a sort of fellow, I believe, as ever lived. Um, repeated Sir John. I remember last Christmas at a little hop at the park, he danced from 8 o'clock till 4 without once sitting down. Did he indeed? Cried Marianne with sparkling eyes, and with elegance, with spirit? Yes, and he was up again at 8 to ride to covert. And then they go on. Marianne starts saying that that is what she likes. So there's a little reference to Christmas in Sense and Sensibility. So we'll start with that. Susan says that she thinks that Wickham is more despicable because he had to be bribed to marry Lydia. That is definitely a reason for him to be despicable. Rebecca is saying that she and her daughter think that Willoughby is much more despicable. Isn't this funny? It has such strong reactions. So this is this is my take on it. Just my thoughts. So, if I were to have to choose between them, which I thought was more despicable, I would go with Willoughby, and here's why. Um, not everybody agrees with me, but Willoughby, um, for one, he ran away from he was the father of the child of Colonel Brandon's ward. I can't remember what her name was. Um I can't remember what her name was, but he was the father of the child, and he just left her with the child, never came back, never he was running after money. He did I think that he really was in love with Marianne. And because in spite of the fact that he was in love with Marianne, he chose money over love and broke her heart. And in addition to that whole running away from the other, he was like a womanizer. And so I think that just really he really just not only didn't live up to his responsibilities, but he he even, like, denied his own like, what he knew was in his heart was right. He had that sense of right, and he specifically, like, turned around and, ignored that. In addition then, he then came back after he realized what he had done and how he had basically not only ruined, he ruined his own life and made Marianne so heartbroken. He then turned around and came back, and luckily Eleanor like headed him off and didn't let him see Marianne, but he wanted to kind of like come back and even though he was married, he had already married. I can't remember what the rich lady's name was off the top of my head, but he had married her, and then he turns around, comes back, trying to make himself feel better about the choices that he made because he knew that he had made the wrong choice. And he should have stayed out of it. He should have stayed away from Marianne. He should have stayed. And thankfully, Eleanor like headed him off and was like, no, you can't see her. She's too sick and you broke her heart and you're not getting anywhere near my sister. But he tried. And for those three things, that's why I think Willoughby is more despicable than Wickham. Ugh, that's my thought on that. Now, Wickham, um, Wickham being a womanizer, Wickham running away with Georgiana Darcy, very low morals. That is also despicable. The fact that he seduced Lydia as well as Georgiana, and he probably would have just kept right on going had he not been forced to marry Lydia. Also despicable. So I think there's a case for Wickham as well. Okay, here we here's the comments. I love this, you guys. This is awesome. So Karen is saying Wickham because his womanizing was well documented from an early age, as well as the greediness in young heiresses. Yes, definitely, definitely despicable. Also, they were so young. Georgiana and Lydia were both so young. So it was a little predatory on his part as well. Rebecca is agreeing with me about Willoughby, and I don't think we know Willoughby's child's name. I don't think so either. I'm trying to remember what the child's mother's name was too, though. Um, and I feel like he nearly killed Marianne. Yes, and then he like came back for more, like because he felt sorry for himself. Ugh, ugh, that always gets me. Lydia did get what she wanted. Unfortunately, she did not want the good things. Let's be honest with that. Over on Instagram, Samantha from Books with Samantha is saying she agrees with me about Willoughby. At least I think that's what you're saying about Willoughby. Ah, these guys, right? Both of them definitely could be a case for either one of them. So that is my take on it. I love hearing your takes. Both, I think, we wouldn't want them anywhere near our lives. All right, moving on to the next one that I wrote down. Whose proposal do you think is more cringy, Mr. Collins or Mr. Elton? Which one is more cringy in your mind? They are both pretty cringy. And while you're sharing your opinions on that, I am I'm going to read from Emma. A little mention of Christmas. And this is spoken by Mr. Elton, which I think it's so interesting that some of the some very quotable things from Jane Austen are spoken by not the main characters. So the quote about home, there's nothing. Um, Hold on. What is the quote I'm trying to say? There's nothing like home for real comfort. That was said by Mrs. Elton, which I think is so hilarious because Mrs. Elton is so annoying in my opinion. And the other one about books and reading, which it's not coming to my mind right now, was said by Caroline Bingley. And so I just think it's funny how some of the quotes that we pull out of Jane Austen come from some of the characters that we love to hate the most. But here is a quote from Emma. Mostly Mr. Elton speaking. This is from chapter 13, and the scene is the carriage ride from that Emma and her brother-in-law and Mr. Elton are on their way over to the Westons for Christmas, for like a Christmas celebration. And so this is from chapter 13 of Emma. And while I'm reading this, tell me in the comments whose proposal is more cringy, Mr. Elton's or Mr. Collins. So this is the scene on the way to the Westons, not the proposal scene on the way home, but we can just kind of see where Mr. Elton's spirits are for this. So um, he's talking about how comfortable it is in the carriage and speaks of the weather outside. Weather becomes absolutely of no consequence because the inside of the carriage is so comfortable, is what he's saying. It is a very cold afternoon, but in this carriage, we know nothing of the matter. Ha! Snows a little, I see. Yes, said John Knightley, and I think we shall have a good deal of it. Christmas weather, observed Mr. Elton, quite seasonable, and extremely fortunate that we may think ourselves that it did not begin yesterday, and prevent this day's party, which it might very possibly have done, for Mr. Woodhouse would hardly have ventured had there been much snow on the ground. But now it is of no consequence. This is quite the season indeed for friendly meetings. At Christmas, everybody invites their friends about them, and people think little of even the worst weather. I was snowed up at a friend's house once for a week. Nothing could be pleasanter. I went for only one night and could not get away till that very day se'nnight. And Mr. John Knightley is not impressed. He goes, Mr. John Knightley looked as if he did not comprehend the pleasure, but said only coolly, I cannot wish to be snowed up a week at Randall's. I think Mr. Elton's feelings were run away with him. He was buoyed up by the fact that he was going to spend the evening so close to Emma, which of course was his desire at the time. So that is the little Christmas mention in Emma, and that is actually a at happening at Christmas time. So um, back on Instagram, Samantha is saying back to the Wickham or Willoughby, Wickham doesn't want validation. Wickham's doesn't want as much validation as Willoughby does. Yes, that I think Willoughby was very insecure because he knew what was going on and what he was doing, and he just didn't want to admit it to himself. Whereas he was just so weak. He was so weak. I don't think Wickham was as weak, although he may have been more conniving. Wickham is probably more conniving. So there's a case for Wickham right there. But all right, let's see what you guys say about cringy proposals. Mr. Collins versus Mr. Elton. Samantha Elizabeth says Elton because he discounts Harriet's life as beneath him and therefore of no value. Oh, yeah. Yes, that is an excellent point. He very much was like discounting Harriet and no, he didn't want to even be bothered with that idea. Rebecca is saying that her daughter says that Mr. Elton's is way worse. So cringe. But Rebecca has a soft spot for Mr. Collins. Karen says Collins because he's so awkward, pompous, cringy. Elton is just plain arrogant. He totally is very arrogant. And Collins, Mr. Collins, I think he was trying to do something nice, right? He was trying to make the Bennets feel a little bit more comfortable, I think, with the fact that the estate was entailed to him instead of to one of the girls. And I think he was really trying to do a kind thing and maybe just check that box off um, by choosing one of the girls, which was a little bit, but I think he had a kind heart more so, and Elton does not. Elton definitely is just plain arrogant. And let's see here. Rebecca says, was Mr. Elton drunk? I think there may have been a touch of that, yes. Or if he wasn't, Emma at least thought he was. For sure, they had just come from that Christmas party at Randall's with the Westons, and but yeah, I think he had just a touch to drink there. So Susan says that Mr. Collins's was more cringy that she thinks, and Rebecca is saying Collins was caring for the Bennets, but he was just so weird. He was just very unaware, I think. I think he kind of expected everybody to I think his expectations were different than the reality. I think he wasn't very aware of what was going on. So so funny, so funny. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Which lady do you find more annoying, Mrs. Elton or Lucy Steele? So we all know how Mr. Elton's proposal ended up. Emma rebuffed him and said, "No, I meant you for my friend Harriet." And he said, "Harriet, who?" And that was the end of that for her. So um, he went off for like an extended not vacation, but like getaway after he was turned down, and turned out to marry one of the ladies. I can't remember what her maiden name was, but there was a whole bunch of sisters, and he married one of the sisters and came home with his bride, Mrs. Elton. And so my next thing is Mrs. Elton or Lucy Steele. So Lucy Steele is the rival of Eleanor Dashwood, kind of a sort of a secret rival, um, because she is secretly engaged to Edward Ferrars, whom Eleanor is, has fallen in love with. But unbeknownst to Eleanor, he has a previous understanding with Lucy Steele, and Lucy Steele kind of lords it over Eleanor in a kind of a Mean Girls sort of a way. So let me know what you think in the comments. Mrs. Elton or Lucy Steele? Which one do you think is more annoying? Um, oh, Samantha's saying that one is so hard. Gasp, that's hard. Um, Samantha is also saying over on Instagram, I can't bring up her comments because of the way that Instagram works with my technology here. But she is saying that about Mr. Elton and the drinking, whether he was drunk, that she thought it says something about it giving him courage to speak. So yes, I think he had been drinking at the Christmas party before he proposes to. So yes, I think we agree that that is part of he was having some liquid courage there to speak. Okay. I'll read a little Christmas reference from Pride and Prejudice while you guys are while you were thinking and telling me about Mrs. Elton versus Lucy Steele. Just a small mention at the end of Pride and Prejudice. So I think there's an earlier one too about Miss Bingley. In one of Miss Bingley's letters, she writes to Jane about hope she had a nice Christmas. And then here at the end, when Elizabeth is writing to her aunt, Aunt Gardner. Um, she's telling her about her new engagement to Mr. Darcy, and she says, um, I am happier even than Jane. She only smiles, I laugh. Mr. Darcy sends you all the love in the world that he can spare from me. You are all to come to Pemberley at Christmas. Yours, etc. So a little mention of Christmas in Pride and Prejudice. I think there's an earlier one, like I said, with Miss Bingley talking about it. Um, and there's yeah, those are the Christmas references in Pride and Prejudice. So let's see what you think um, of the two ladies. Uh, Karen says Mrs. Elton is so pompous and arrogant and snotty. Lucy is just jealous. So Mrs. Elton and Mr. Elton, I think they deserved each other, right? They were both so arrogant. They were like arrogant together. They were like up here on their high horses together all the time. And ugh, so snotty is right. Lucy is just jealous. Rebecca says that her 14-year-old daughter says that Lucy Steele is 100% more annoying. So here's what I wonder about Lucy Steele. Somebody tell me if it's ever clarified, because I could never get it very clear in my mind. Does she know, does Lucy Steele know that Eleanor is in love with Edward? Does she know that? Because if she does, it makes it so much more awful the way she treats Eleanor. I think she does. I think she knows, but I don't know how she knows, and it never really clarifies, unless I missed something. It never really clarifies, like, why why does she, like, whether she knows, and if she does know, then the way she treats Eleanor is, like, despicable. But if she doesn't know, it's still annoying because she's like, she is jealous, like Karen is saying. She's jealous of Eleanor and her, who she is. But I think it lessens it just a little bit for Lucy if she doesn't know. So Susan says Lucy Steele is worse because she was so fake friendly while being so malicious. She really was. She really was. Samantha over on Instagram is saying maybe Lucy is worse since she knows she's needling and just jealous. Emma can take care of herself against Mrs. Elton. Emma can take care of herself against Mrs. Elton. Um, yeah, Mrs. Elton is um, so full of herself, though. She's so full of herself, and she thinks she's better than all of them, and Lucy is so malicious, though. Lucy is so malicious. I think that I have to go with Lucy as well. Sorry, my hair is bothering me and getting me in the way. I think I'm going to have to go with Lucy because I think that Lucy knows that Eleanor loves Edward Ferrars, and I think she was malicious about it. I think she rubbed it in on purpose. So Rebecca is saying yes, Emma can, responding to Samantha. So Samantha says she knows that Edward has feelings for her because he mentions her. And I believe it's dropped by Mrs. Jennings as they were always teasing Eleanor. Okay. Okay. So maybe that's how Lucy knows. Because I couldn't remember like if she knew or if she didn't. But I forgot about the fact that she maybe knew about Edward's feelings for Eleanor. I forgot about that. Yeah, I think Lucy. I think I'm gonna go with Lucy there. So I'm gonna take a quick sip of tea after all this talking here. Mm. Okay, now favorite hero. I would love to hear which out of the six Jane Austen full-length novels. I would love to hear who your favorite hero is. And the next one is going to be the favorite heroine. So either way, you can put them both in the same comment or not. They don't have to necessarily be a couple. If you have two different favorites, my two favorites are not a couple. But let me know who your favorites are. The hero and the favorite heroine of the six novels. And while you are telling me what your favorites are, I'm going to read my favorite Christmas passage in all of Jane Austen from my favorite book of all of Jane Austen, Persuasion. I love this scene so much. It's happy, it's warm, it's cozy, it's homey. It is the Christmas at Uppercross, and it just sets the scene so lovely, and I love it so much. So while we're talking about our favorite heroes and heroines of Jane Austen, I'm going to read this little passage from you. So Karen is saying that she thinks that Lucy suspects, but is trying to mark her man just in case. She totally was. She was totally trying to do that. Ugh, ugh. Okay, here we go. Ready for this cozy, homey Christmas scene? I love this scene. Here we go. From Persuasion, chapter 14. We're at Uppercross, where the home of Mr. and Mrs. Musgrove, who are Anne Elliot's, who's the main character, Anne Elliot's sisters in laws. Immediately surrounding Mrs. Musgrove were the little Harvilles, whom she was seditiously guarding from I said that wrong, sorry, sedulously guarding from the tyranny of the two children from the cottage, expressly arrived to amuse them. On one side of the table, occupied by some chattering girls, cutting up silk and gold paper, and on the other were trestles and trays bending under the weight of brawn and cold pies, where riotous boys were holding high revel. the whole completed by a roaring Christmas fire, which seemed determined to be heard in spite of all the noise of the others. Charles and Mary also came in, of course, during their visit, and Mr. Musgrove made a point of paying his respects to Lady Russell and sat down close to her for 10 minutes, talking with a very raised voice, but from the clamor of the children on his knees, generally in vain. It was a fine family peace. Anne, judging from her own temperament, would have deemed such a domestic hurricane a bad restorative of the nerves, which Louisa's illness must have so greatly shaken. But Mrs. Musgrove, who got near Anne on purpose to thank her most cordially again and again for all her attentions to them, concluded a short recapitulation of what she had suffered herself by observing, with a happy glance around the room, that after all she had gone through, nothing was so likely to do her good as a little quiet cheerfulness at home. I love that. It's all like a riot and an uproar and the Christmas fire and the children and the crafting and the visiting and the talking. And she thinks it's a little quiet cheerfulness at home. And then when she comes away, Lady Russell always says like, everybody has such a different opinion as to what constitutes a nice time, and obviously, Mrs. Musgrove and Lady Russell have very different opinions as to what constitutes a lovely Christmas. So I love that scene from Persuasion, A Little Quiet Christmas at Home. So homey, so cozy. Just had to share that with you. So, all right, let's see what your opinion is. Favorite hero, favorite heroine. Samantha says that she does love Darcy and Lizzie best, but Knightley is up there. Knightley is up there for me too. Knightley is so good. Rebecca says that her favorite, or her daughter's favorite, is Colonel Brandon. Oh, that's such a good one. Such a good one. I love that. And Susan says that her favorites are Lizzie Bennet and Darcy. So classic, right? They're so good together. Rebecca says that her favorite heroine is Eleanor. The Dashwoods would never have made it through without her sound mind. I agree. I agree. Karen says that Lizzie and Eleanor are a tie and Colonel Brandon is her favorite. Oh, I love it. I love it. I love how there's just so many choices. So my favorite heroine is Anne from Persuasion. I love her so much. I love her quiet thoughtfulness. I love her how she can be very chill, outwardly, and taking things in. I love her maturity. I love her manners and her politeness. I love her quiet acceptance of how things are, but not she's not afraid for to push for a change if she can. So she's never I don't know. She's not like super lively or anything like that, but I just love her quiet confidence, I think is what I love about Anne. So she is my favorite heroine, and my favorite hero is probably Mr. Knightley. Although I have to give an honorable mention to Henry Tilney from Northanger Abbey. So Northanger Abbey is my least favorite of Jane Austen's books, but but I want to give it another chance because it has some very interesting characters, and Henry Tilney is one of them. What I love about him is his sense of humor. He is able to humor Catherine Morland. He is able to kind of take her in stride. He is able to deal with her foibles in a very like. Not only is he tolerant like Mr. Knightley is, but he also has this sense of humor as well. So he's also willing to serve Catherine and just kind of make it easier for her, kind of like smooth the way, which Mr. Knightley does for Emma too. But I think Emma is more capable on her own than Catherine is, and so, just, Catherine is just, in my mind, so ridiculous. She's, like, my least favorite of the Austen heroines, but Henry Tilney just puts up with her so well, and I really like to, give him an honorable mention for that reason, so I really like that, as well. But Colonel Brandon is also very good. Colonel Brandon, um, is long-suffering, I think, and holds on to, um has a steadfast love, I think, Colonel Brandon does. And even though, like, Anne, Anne and Mr. Wentworth, Wentworth is okay. He's not my favorite only because he's just so emotional, and he's just so, like, he's so hurt, and he's so, um, hurt specifically by her, but kind of brokenhearted that he can't get past that. And he kind of acts accordingly, and that's why he's not my favorite, but I do love Anne. So, all right, I am going to, we'll do one more, and then we will end with a couple things. So, would let's see, I'm gonna say, who do you think is the funniest character in, all of, Jane Austen's 6 works? Who do you think is funny? Um, or the funniest? I want to give an honorable mention to, Mrs. Jennings from Sense and Sensibility, because even though even though she's a little embarrassing and perhaps annoying, I think that she does really have a heart of gold, and she's just so goofy. And some of the things she says, you're just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe she said that. And some of the things are just so laugh out loud funny. And so anyway, honorable mention to Mrs. Jennings for being so funny. But let me know in the comments who you think is the funniest. And we'll read a little from Mansfield Park, a Christmas mention here in Mansfield Park. So I think Mansfield Park is one that, is is not talked about quite so much. It's a little bit harder to get through, but I think it has a lot of depth to it, and I think it has a lot of things to discuss. And someday I want to, do like a read along of Mansfield Park. So if anybody's interested in a read along of Mansfield Park, let me know, because I think it would be a lot of fun to discuss this one. In fact, something that, I was talking about recently. In fact, I think maybe Karen and I had this discussion. Did I tell you guys this already? Maybe I already told you about this. In Celia's house, there is a sort of retelling of Mansfield Park. It's like a story within a story. And I think it would be so much fun to compare, those two, as well as have a more in-depth discussion of Mansfield Park. If you guys don't know Celia's house, this is written by D.E. Stevenson, and it is part, of the same world as Listening Valley. So it comes, earlier in the timeline, than Listening Valley, but it has some of the, characters kind of crossover, um, and so it's kind of fun. But this one has a retelling of, Mansfield Park, and it's a lot of fun to compare and to see the difference. So if anyone wants to, ever do a Mansfield Park read along, maybe next summer or something, let me know, because I think it would be a lot of fun to discuss Mansfield Park. But I am going to read just a little. Oh, what did I do with it? Did I not? Oh, here it is. I thought I put a little marker in there. A little excerpt from chapter 26 of Mansfield Park, where they reference Christmas. So this is where, um, um, Mr. Bertram, or what is his name? Um, oh my goodness, what was his title? I can't remember. Sir Bertram, Lord and Lady Bertram. I can't remember what his title was, but at any rate, her uncle, um, the Sir Thomas. There we go, Sir Thomas Bertram. I knew there was some title, is giving a ball for Fanny. And they're having it right around Christmas time. And Edmund was at this time particularly full of cares, his mind being deeply occupied in the consideration of two important events now at hand, which were to fix his fate in life: ordination and matrimony, events of such a serious character as to make the ball, which would be very quickly followed by one of them, appear of less moment in his eyes than in those of any other person in the house. On the 23rd, he was going to a friend near Peterborough, in the same situation as himself, and they were to receive ordination in the course of the Christmas week. So Edmund Bertram is going to become a minister at Christmas time in Mansfield Park, and that is the reference to Christmas that I found in this one. So, all right, let's see who you guys think is the funniest. Samantha over on Instagram is saying Mr. Bennett is the funniest. And Rebecca says Mrs. Bennett. We were just watching the 1995 adaptation, and I always have to laugh at Mrs. Bennett in that one. Mrs. Jennings is funny too. I think she's so funny. And Susan agrees with Samantha. Mr. Bennett, with his dry humor, he does have very dry humor. Oh my goodness. I think it's an English characteristic, that dry humor, right? And Karen is saying Mrs. Bennett and Mr. Collins. So many funny ones. They're so good. Susan is saying she loves Mansfield Park. I think it's so underrated, right? It's a little bit harder, I think, to read than most of the others, and so I think it doesn't get as much love. But I think it could make for a really good conversation on that one. So, oh, this has been so fun. I do want to show you before we finish with what we're reading now, as we typically do. I want to show you this book that I just got recently. I haven't had a chance to read it, but it is so gorgeous. I had to tell you about it. And that is Jane Austen's Garden, a botanical tour of the classic novels. This is by Molly Williams, illustrated by Jessica Rue. And look at this, look at the back cover here. Celebrate Jane Austen's life and literature as told through the flowers, plants, and landscapes that inspired her. Isn't this gorgeous? It's so pretty. It's prettier in person than even on the screen. But look at these end papers. Oh my goodness, it's so pretty. So I know it is not planting season, right? Or garden season. But wouldn't this be perfect to peruse over the um, winter months to prepare for the spring, to think what you might want to plant in your own garden in the spring? Oh, look at this one. Here's holly for Christmas. Oh my goodness. Isn't it gorgeous? So I am looking forward to delving into this one. But I just had to show you because I thought it was so beautiful and I knew you'd like to see it. So, Jane Austen, of course, with the theme tonight. And we will end by what we're reading now. So let me know in the comments what you're reading now, and I would love to share, and I'll tell you what I'm reading now. Karen says she bought that book for next summer reading. Karen, I love how you and I are always on the same page. That's awesome. I can't wait to delve into it. I think I'm going to save it for January because I think I'm going to need a little dose of gardening inspiration in the midst of winter. We have had a lot of snow here this past week, which is not usually typical this early in the year for us, but it is what it is. So winter has come rather early this year, and I'm going to be ready for thinking about gardens once January comes. So Susan is saying, such a pretty book, isn't it gorgeous? I knew you guys would like to see it, so that's why. That's why I was like, nope, we got to talk about that. All right, what we're reading now. Samantha says that she is reading While the Dark Remains by Joanna Ruth Meyer. Ooh, perfect time of year for darkness, right? Oh my goodness. I am reading my last Georgette Heyer mystery of the year. This is A Christmas Party. Now, if you like Jane Austen, you probably also like Georgette Heyer because often Georgette Heyer writes Regency romances or sometimes Georgian romances. This is more, this is not a Regency romance. This is a 20th century murder mystery. But Georgette Heyer's writings are well loved by Jane Austen fans as well. But this one is the very last one for my year with Georgette 2025. So, as you all know, I have been reading through all of Georgette Heyer's mysteries this year, and I saved this one for Christmas. And so I am so far enjoying it. I think. I think I remember who done it because I've read this once before. But no matter, I'm going to watch the little, what am I trying to call it? Breadcrumb trail to see if I can spot the clues as I go through. And I just love this cover too. Isn't that a pretty cover? So it has been perfect timing as it has been snowing here. And so I will report back on that one. The blog post for the November one is coming. I did finish that book, and but I have been busy with lots of book box scenarios. And so I have been packing and wrapping and communicating and all the things. And so I haven't gotten the blog post done yet, but never fear, it will come definitely before the end of the year. So, all right, let's read what you are reading now. Like I said, Samantha said, While the Dark Remains by Joanna Ruth Meyer. Rebecca says that she has been reading Patricia Wentworth and really enjoying her mysteries. Are you reading the standalone ones, Rebecca, or are you reading the Miss Silver ones? I love Patricia Wentworth. Oh, she is one of my very favorites. Susan is saying that she's reading A Man Lay Dead by Nio Marsh. Ooh, another mystery. The Children of Green Noah by L.M. Boston. Oh, that's perfect for Christmas. I listened to that on audiobook last Christmas. And listening to Miss Pym Disposes by Josephine Tay. Ooh, I haven't read that one, but Josephine Tay was a mystery writer as well, right? So that one sounds very good as well. Oh, I love it. Um, Karen says Agnes Gray, ooh, a Bronte one, and Louisa May Alcott's Christmas Treasury. That sounds delightful. And finishing your year of Middlemarch. That's such a long one. You read it the whole year? Oh, I've heard such good things about that one. I have started it, but I've never finished it. So that is a someday one for me because that one is a big that one is a big commitment. No wonder it took you all year. Megan is saying that she's reading The Crime at Noah's Ark by Molly Tyne. Tyne and The Mysterious Christmas Shell by Eleanor Cameron, a 1961 library discard treasure. Oh, don't you love those ones? Those treasures that you find. And Samantha Surprise, American Girl, and Listening to a Little Princess. I haven't read A Little Princess since I was a child, I don't think. That one is something that I think I need to revisit. I was thinking about pulling out my American Girl Christmas ones. I liked Molly and Felicity's. I don't remember Samantha's. I think there was a lot of decoration. Did she like hang a lot of garlands because wasn't her uncle named Gar Garland or Gardner or something like that too? And there was like a garland or something. It's been a long time. Samantha's Surprise. Oh, I love it. Rebecca says she's reading Miss Silver on book 2. Ooh, that's so good. That's so good. I'm trying to remember what the name of number 2 is. I can't remember, but I know Gray Mask is number 1 and Lonesome Road is number 3, but I can't remember number 2. And Rebecca says she's been listening to Richard Armitage narrating the Poirot books. Oh, so good. Samantha says that Little Princess is a good one for this time of year. Lovely. It really has been a long time since I have read that one. Reading Middlemarch by the book release dates. Hmm. Wait, I know. Let me see. Let me read this again. Reading Middlemarch by the book release dates. So did she do it? Did she do it in like segments? Did she publish them in segments? And you're lining it up with the year, or is that what you mean by that? I'm trying to decipher it by the book release date. See, I don't know enough about Middlemarch, and I should. I should know what you're talking about. Megan says Uncle Guard. Yes, yes, it wasn't Garland, but I was halfway there. Uncle Guard. That's right. Um, Rebecca is saying the Eleanor Cameron Christmas book sounds so cool, and that they loved her Mushroom Planet book. And her 12-year-old is reading A Christmas Carol. That is a classic for this time of year. I think what I'm going to do this upcoming year, and it's something, oh, here, Karen is saying it was serialized. Got it, got it, got it. So you're reading it along with how it was published. Lovely. I think what I'm going to do this year is I'm going to take Little Women and I'm going to read it. I'm going to start here at Christmas time and I'm going to read it seasonally for the first half. So not up till like book two, where it kind of cuts off and then goes into Good Wives. But for the first half of the book, I'm going to read it seasonally. So like take a little bit out, like read this chapter this month and this chapter this month, so that I can match it with the seasons. Um, and I think I'm going to have that as one of my reading plans this upcoming year. So that's a little inside information. I'll go over my reading plans more in January, but I think I might do that this year. So let's see. Oh, yes. Samantha is saying that they were released as serials, which is just what Karen was saying as well. So all right. Well, it has been so lovely having you here in my book corner this evening. Thank you so much for joining me. It is such a pleasure as always. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. We will, if you've been following me on Instagram, I've been opening a book advent calendar, bookish advent calendar, one a day, and showing you all the goodies inside. So I maybe do a wrap up with that once Christmas gets here, but this is kind of a fun thing. So you can see in my Instagram stories all of those. And yeah, we will be seeing you soon. Hope you are having fun and festive times. All right, I'll talk to you later. Good night, all.